Picture yourself as a kid. Your parents just planned a trip to Target, and you've convinced them that the best idea ever is for you to tag along. So you get there, and you've been in the home decor aisle about 20 minutes, and your mom's picked out about 10 shirts that you just said yes to because you want to get to that toy aisle faster. So you get there, and rows of pink and blue guide your choices, and I think we can all recall that feeling when the next thing we know, we have that brand new Polly Pocket set or Hot Wheels car in hand, and we're on top of the world. But the question I have, probably a less obvious question, is if you ever thought about going down the opposite toy aisle. A girl going down that blue toy aisle, a boy going down that pink toy aisle. And the answer is probably not. And that's a problem because what's in the toy aisles is different. You see, those boy toys that are restricted to the blue toy aisle, like the puzzles and the cars and the Legos, those are great at teaching spatial reasoning skills that are essential in your math classes down the line. And those pink girl toys, the dolls, the pretend kitchens, those are great at teaching emotional reasoning skills and early language skills that are important in your English classes and really important in knowing how to make friends down the line. So when toy aisles constrain children based on their gender, they're missing out on a whole range of skills that are important for their futures. So now you might be thinking, why is it like this, and what can we do? Well, these colors actually only came around about in the 1940s, and 30 years before that, they were completely reversed. Take a look at this picture from 1912. This is a picture of two boys wearing pink. Because back then, pink was considered a boy color because it was considered stronger and easier to get dirt out of, and blue was considered a girl color because it was daintier and more delicate. But in the 1940s, manufacturers decided to pin blue on the boys and pink on the girls based on what they thought people would buy more of. They really had no dedicated logic as to why they assigned those colors, and it could have gone the other way. Now, there are countless other examples of this, but the point is that these have just become things that we've accepted, and that this is just our natural world. That's just how the world works, right? But really, it's been dictated to us all along. And then, in the 1980s, with the invention of the ultrasound, parents were able to learn the sex of their baby months before it was born. So that's why we started to see nurseries decked out in pink or blue, again, months before the child was even born. Because manufacturers were able to sell the same item in two different colors and sell more of it and get more money that way. So now that you can start to see why these colors are the way they are and why they so heavily dictate toy marketing, you can start to see why we need to do something about it. Because, again, children are losing out when their toys and these colors are constrained based on their gender, and they're not able to develop fully, and in the future, this has many negative consequences. So today, companies are still taking advantage of this great marketing hack and able to sell more that way. Take a look at this picture. This is essentially the same toy with the same items inside, marketed completely differently towards boys and girls. Here it tells a little girl that she can be a nurse, but there are far more limitations on becoming a doctor one day. It's telling a boy that, sure, he can be a doctor, but being a nurse is probably a little more girly. And companies began to recognize that this is a problem and that this has consequences for children. For example, Target, my favorite store ever, decided to remove its boy and girl toy aisle labeling after a customer put this picture on Twitter with the caption, "Really?" They decided to mix up all their toys and really let children pick out their toys based on what they're interested in, not their gender. Because they realized, how can we be telling children to be individuals with unique interests, yet toy aisles have been telling them exactly who they can and should be all this time? Because those early years and months of a child's life are extremely important in their cognitive development. And thanks to our friend, developmental psychologist Jean Piaget, we know that play is essential in that process. So when play becomes restricted based on gender, again, children are losing out on a whole range of skills that are important down the line. And that has repercussions because when children feel constrained early on, they are less likely to perceive their opportunities in the world as equal, and they won't be able to see that they can dream to become whatever they want to be. But manufacturers aren't the only ones taking advantage of such an easily divisible society. People are also perpetuating this in their interactions with children, only furthering the limitations we are putting on them from such an early age. For example, researchers in England decided to look at this exact idea and took a group of unassuming volunteers and simply told them to play with this girl infant or boy infant. And they just wanted to observe how they interacted with them differently. But what the volunteers didn't know was that the girl infant they were playing with was actually a boy, and that the boy was actually a girl. As seen in the video, people are also practicing biased play. And again, as I mentioned earlier, this is furthering the limitations we set on children from such an early age. They're not developing fully, that spatial and emotional reasoning I was talking about earlier. They're not developing those equally. And that has problems on how they perceive their opportunities in the world. So now that I have probably raised some concern, giving you a little less hope for the world, I do want to give you a few things to take away so that you can be better equipped to live in a world where this is just our reality. First, I want you to simply acknowledge that this exists. Again, I want you to acknowledge that this is a world where this is our reality. For example, over Christmas break, I was tasked with buying my little girl cousin's Christmas gift. And had it been a year ago, I probably just would have grabbed the first pink thing I saw and been done. But after I researched all this and I knew about all this, I decided to buy her Legos. And when she opened it up on Christmas morning, she was thrilled. She loved it. And to me, that showed that children really do have interest beyond what we've been assigning to their genders this whole time. So I tell you that story so that maybe next time you have to go buy your little cousin's Christmas or birthday gift, you can more easily navigate those toy aisles because you're recognizing that these exist. Second, I want to challenge you to be a role model. Everyone in here is capable of being a role model because the thing is that children are watching our every move, whether we realize it or not. And we have such a power to show them that we don't feel limited by society and that all of us can dream to become whatever we want to be. When they see us doing that, they can see themselves doing that. If I hadn't had my mom or my older sister totally slaying the game when I was younger, I probably wouldn't dream to become a CEO like I do today. So I challenge you to be a role model and recognize the power you have in inspiring children. Lastly, I want you to dream. Now, this isn't the same dreaming Mary Caroline was talking about. I want you to dream to become whatever you want to be. Because a world where children and people like you and me can dream to become whatever we want to be and have interests no matter our gender, a world where a female engineer or a stay-at-home dad can live in harmony, that's the world I want to live in, and I hope you do too. Thank you.